by film.
5,
Stand by music.
4,
Stand by announce.
3, 2, 1.
And fade up.
It's the Bellagio, the Mirage, and the MGM Grand.
You're a wizard, Harry.
Mike Wazowski.
Open your eyes.
Now tell me, where are the others?
Eat me!
King Kong ain't got on me!
What about second breakfast?
Why not? Why can't I?
How can we be expected to teach children to learn how to read if they can't even fit inside the building?
What's up, wiener holes?
I hate you so much. God.
What's up, wiener holes?
Oh, I can't
We'll
wait to
explain
explain that. Oh, God.
Welcome, everyone, to another episode of 20 Years, 4 Beers, a podcast dedicated to rewatching popular movies from 2 decades ago, while also enjoying a minimum of 4 modern beers. My name is Steve, and this is my big brother,
Tim.
and we are coming to you live on tape for the first time ever in front of an audience from just outside Minneapolis, Minnesota. Joining this week is our friend and the perfect model of all things manliness, JT. Welcome to our show, JT.
Thank you.
Yeah. I actually wrote down perfect model of all things manliness, too.
Ooh.
I planned for that. I planned for it.
I think
That's how I think of you all the time.
I think he reworked the phrasing of that multiple times to just hit on the, like, what's the best?
I was staring at a picture of you, too, if it's really creepy.
Help me out, thesaurus.
So on this episode, we will be doing what any 3 grown-ass men should be doing on a Saturday night away from their families. And that is rewatching a female-driven comedy that is all things empowering towards women in 2001's comedy, Legally Blonde.
I feel comfortable using legal jargon in everyday life. I object.
Legally Blonde follows a fashionable sorority queen named Elle Woods, who, after being dumped by her boyfriend Warner, because he is going to Harvard Law, decides that she too should go there in an effort to win him back. After being accepted, Elle finds herself in over her head initially, but soon realizes that she has what it takes to become a lawyer, and also that following a guy is never a good idea. And we all have had that experience.
Preach on.
Preach. The film is directed by Robert Luketic, written by Karen McCullough and Kristen Smith, and stars Reese Witherspoon as Elle, Luke Wilson, Selma Blair, Matthew Davis, Victor Garber, Ali Larter, and Jennifer Coolidge.
Wow.
Yeah, there you go.
Well done.
That's why we write out a script.
Man,
there you go.
I'm impressed.
So before we go too far into the movie, though, we have our first segment, which is Drinking Buddies.
Come on, not my fucking beer.
Where Tim takes us through our 4 beers, or our drinking buddies, that accompany us through the film. As we often do, there are theme beers. And with a movie like Legally Blonde, I'm guessing we have at least a few that will tie into a title and maybe some surprises. So, Tim, who are our drinking buddies?
Well, rest assured, we are not having like a taste test of 4 different blonde ales.
They'd all taste
I did think initially, like, how can I just muck with you? Just to be like, this blonde. No. So we've got one of, I think, probably the best in the state. Certainly my wife loves it.
Mm-hmm.
From our friends at Bad Habit out of St. Joseph, Minnesota, their Hang Up Blonde Ale. I brought a second one home, and she was like, oh, sweet.
Yeah,
Very
that's a good one. Yep.
And then another option, but I think more, again, a thematic. Hopefully, I haven't opened it, so we'll check on the sequel of this if it actually holds up. But Elle Woods, the character that Reese plays, is well known for her pink attire. So Fulton's Lonely Blonde of Minneapolis is kind of one of their flagships. I have their Strawberry Lonely Blonde, which I've never had. So I'm excited to have a little bit of a variation on blonde, but fingers crossed it's pink. I'll be so disappointed if I pour it out and like, oh, it's like a red hue.
Yep.
Damn it.
Yep.
Also, as I understand, legend tells us that Harvard is incredibly difficult to get into. And probably as you're there, even more difficult to be successful at. Maybe it's hard to pass things. So Barrel Theory out of St. Paul, their hard pass.
Okay.
Ah, you
I was
like
wondering
that?
which beer would have.
Work
Okay.
with me.
Yep.
I'll get you there.
All right.
Double dry hopped oat cream double IPA with Citra, Pacifica, and Mosaic hops. And then this is my favorite one.
Okay.
I'm so excited.
He's so excited.
So Elle Woods, or is it Wood? Elle Woods
Elwoods. Yep.
is the character.
Thank you for paying attention since I literally just said
I know.
it.
I zoned out.
That's fine.
I mean, you were just
That's fine.
on a row.
Yep.
Or, yeah, a roll. There we go. Wood is something that, I don't know, makes up barrels, would you say? So Wooden Hill Brewing out of Edina,
Sure.
Minnesota, they're barrel-aged espresso Crow Russian Imperial Stout, I think it is. Or just a stout. We're going to try it. So, a double wood for this one. That's going to be our ending. You're welcome. I texted you this week, be like, I got the beers. And I was like, I can't wait.
Yeah, when you said that, I didn't have the heart to respond. Like, yeah.
Can you tell me what they
Yeah,
are
can you
so I
just do
can
this
prep?
so I can plan
Nope.
ahead? No.
Oh, just you wait for Spy Game.
Teaser.
one for that.
Well, now we will segue into our next segment, the social network.
If you guys were the inventors of Facebook, you'd have invented Facebook.
Thank you. Our look back at the reviews or reactions from the time, both good and bad. Once again, I actually did some research and have a review. Mine's from Empire Magazine.
I do not have one.
Hey,
No,
all
there-
right.
All
So
right.
do you want to go first?
I have,
Or I'll go.
You can go.
Yeah, okay. I've already talked plenty, but I'll keep going. So, Caroline Westbrook of Empire Magazine talks about it, and it was a 4 out of 5 review.
Wow.
Yeah. Rather than resorting to dumb humor or bawdy college comedy as Elle and her cute dog join the boringly conventional world of Harvard Law, the movie shows her to be surprisingly resourceful. It goes on to say that it's Witherspoon's terrifically bubbly turn which holds proceedings together, and this has my favorite review of anything Luke Wilson has ever done by saying, quote, "There's also some nice work from Wilson."
What a ringing
Yep.
endorsement that he read it.
That
was
about
like, wow.
that about sums up Luke Wilson's acting career. Like, man, he did some work.
He was on screen.
He did some work. Yeah. And it is our first of 2 Luke Wilson movies in the next 3 months.
That's true.
So there we are.
That's right.
So he's an influence on our podcast. So that's what I had. 4 out of 5 on that one.
That's really good. The IMDb score is 6.3 out of 10. Interesting. The only movies lower than that we reviewed or watched so far on the pod has been Grinch and Pearl Harbor. So that was 6.2. So fingers crossed, this is not as bad as those.
Wait. Pearl Harbor was 6.2?
6.2.
And this was what?
6.3.
Yeah, okay. One of those is more accurate than the other.
I know. It's like, that's a bit harsh.
Let's flip
I
it
would
on a
say.
2.6 maybe
Yes.
on Pearl Harbor. But
That's
all right.
ridiculous.
Okay.
Jay Carr of Boston Globe said, "We begin by laughing at Elle, and we end up rooting for her, even when the script seems to have stopped doing anything much for her." Michael O'Sullivan of Washington Post said, "The movie is really nothing more than Clueless redone, but without the edgy, knowing wit." And again, Big Man Raj, 3 out of 4 stars. 3 out of 4 stars. I think the same as the other ones we've watched this year. This is so great. Again, 3 out of 4. Legally Blonde is not a great movie, but Witherspoon is a star, and the movie doesn't overstay its welcome. Man, the guy won all these awards. I love reading this. That's high.
He's not wrong.
No.
But yeah, okay.
3 out of 4.
3 out of
Not a
4
great
seems
movie.
a bit high, but all right.
Apparently, great movies are not that much. And not surprisingly, Academy Awards, 0 nominations. So that's our social network.
Do you have any? So thank you. I don't really have any initial memories of seeing this in the theater. I know, I'm sure I did, but I know I like this movie.
Yes.
Like it's on. I'll watch it, and I'm always just kind of like, there's some quotable lines that I really like.
Yeah.
I don't want to say I'm hoping it holds up, but I do know I like this movie. You know
I'm a
what I mean?
sucker for a good romantic comedy.
Yeah, you are. Even one without James Marsden in it.
I know. I mean, you add him, but other than that, yeah, no, I thoroughly am looking forward to this being enjoyable, having a nice time. My wife was rather frustrated. She doesn't listen to this, so that's fine. But I was telling her that we were going to watch it this weekend. She goes, "Are you, of all the movies, you made me watch Memento, and now I got to miss Legally Blonde."
We didn't make her watch
I know. I was like,
Memento.
you watched it.
She
of
chose
your
to
own
watch
volition.
Memento. She's a strong adult woman who made
Yeah,
that choice.
exactly.
Yes.
Girl power. So,
That's right.
yes. So I have the same memories of, I know I've seen it. I think I've enjoyed it. Outside the high points you mentioned in your summary at the beginning, which again I did listen a little bit, I cannot say that I remember any detail of it.
See, you didn't listen because it would have been a great. You said 2 Woods, and I was like, yeah, L Woods,
Yeah,
plural.
The S was silent.
It was it was like a setup for you. Nope.
Let's redo this all.
Yeah.
Start again.
Stop it. Let's just hit the rewind button.
JT, that was our first pass. We're going back.
All right, you ready?
I'm ready.
I'm ready too. So, plus I want to have this. What was our first beer, by the way?
It's going to be Hang Up.
The Hang Up Blonde?
Blonde
Perfect.
from Bad Habit.
All right, so we are going to watch the film and released in 2001 by MGM. Please enjoy along with us, Legally Blonde.
I'm Elle Woods, Miss Bonafonte's attorney. And I'm here to discuss the legal situation at hand.
Come again?
Do you understand what subject matter jurisdiction is?
No.
I didn't think so. Well, due to habeas corpus, you and Miss Bonafonte had a common law marriage, which heretofore entitles her to what is legally referred to as equitable division of the assets.
Come again?
Due to the fact that you've retained this residence, Miss Bonafonte is entitled to full canine property ownership, and will be enforcing said ownership right now.
Huh?
Tell him, Paulette.
I'm taking the dog. Dumbass.
Well, welcome back to 20 Years, 4 Beers, where we have just finished Legally Blonde, as well as 4 new beers. As we usually do, we begin with our reaction segment that we lovingly call High Fidelity,
Top 5 side ones, track ones.
where Tim and I discuss our top 5 takeaways or reactions or random thoughts from rewatching our movie. Tim, do you have any initial thoughts that you want to cover?
Well, my first one that I wrote down was thinking through our conversation last time around A Knight's Tale.
Oh, yeah. You love that movie.
And how much it was just straight garbage.
Okay. Agree, disagree?
Yeah, agree, disagree, yeah. But this is, I think, kind of seen in a similar vein of just like, it is what it is. But I actually really like these kind of movies that lean into the stupidity of it, but have some weight to it. And it's thoroughly enjoyable. And it adds some moments of kind of gravitas and such and like weight to it. So I hadn't seen it in a long time. I'm a big fan of these, romantic comedies I mentioned, but it's actually not really romantic comedy.
No,
I would say I always had seen through the lens of Luke Wilson was going to be this kind of romantic foil, and yeah, it happens, but really it's about her story and her journey and that kind of thing. So, I'm okay with it being one of these, like, it's really, really dumb, but really fantastic at the same time. And I don't hold it to the same standard like I did previous movies like Knight's Tale, where I'm like, this is stupid, but this one is very, very good.
Well, we have talked about it of sense of with A Knight's Tale, you did not have it you had never watched it before. You didn't have the lens of rewatching it. It was the first watch, and so it is different. I do think this is a better film than A Knight's Tale. That's just, I'm not. That's not a hill I'm willing to die on by any means.
Yeah,
no,
exactly. Yes.
I
liked it. It leans into it. It knows what it is, and I am totally good with that.
Yeah, I'm my 5th point on here that I'll just tie in on that.
Ooh, jumping up.
I know. What are you gonna do?
Oh.
It is that it's enjoyable. It is exactly what you want it to be. To me, it's like I laughed a lot.
Yes.
Way more than I did, say, like Zoolander or some of these other movies that were
totally
that old. It's enjoyable. The characters are somewhat believable. Like it's exactly what it was supposed to be, and I understand why it became more than what it was initially meant to be.
Yep.
But on its core, like at its core, it just is an enjoyable film, and that to me is why we've talked about it with other films of saying like these were stupid reviewers in Social Network that just can't get past a dumb movie.
Yes.
Like just get past it. And
give a rating for what it is.
Right. And so Ebert's 3 out of 4 finally makes sense.
It does.
This is a movie that is what it is. And so I it was enjoyable.
Yeah. Speaking of reviews, so for me, the second thought I had was watching it was I mentioned one in the Social Network around, and I actually saw a lot of reviews talking about it being compared to like a Clueless.
I saw a lot of comparisons to Clueless.
It's a really unfair and
I agree.
lazy critique because I think reviewers saw it and were like, "Oh, a seemingly dumb girl does good
blonde
for
from
others."
California.
Blonde, yeah, exactly. And so that's just pigeonholed into this kind of, genre or whatever. But it's very different, and I just think it's such a lazy attempt at these reviewers to try and explain why maybe they didn't like it or whatever it is. But yeah, watching it, it's totally different, and I think Clueless is arguably a better movie, but they are different in that sense. And I don't know that I would have thought when we talked about watching these like 20 years ago when this came up, and it was like, yeah, this is still a thing that people talk about, or it's a huge kind of impact, Reese Witherspoon, what have you. I didn't expect much, and it wasn't amazing by any means, but I can see why we're still talking about it 20 years later.
Yeah, I can see why your wife was mad that she couldn't watch it with us.
Son of a mother!
Yeah, exactly.
Yes.
Like, that makes sense.
Yes.
Yeah, I think on for me, my big thing was, or one of my things was that it was interesting to me how I don't want to give them too much credit for doing this, but it does seem like they wrote a movie that had a whole bunch of cliched characters that all were flipped on their heads.
Sure.
Eventually, I mean, not the men. The men were exactly what they were going to be, but the female characters all were like sort of written as a cliche.
Yep.
And this is written by two women, so that I guess that does make some sense. Because everybody was a cliche at the beginning.
Yes.
Sort of as they were. Now, Elle was never dumb. And that's what I got mad at reviews that said that she was like a dumb blonde.
Exactly.
Like, at what point is she dumb?
No.
I don't ever find her to be dumb.
No.
That was almost like, you're really not paying attention.
There's a caricature element to it.
Sure.
Where it comes
but she
across
even doesn't
as
even,
like,
she doesn't talk like a Valley girl.
No.
Like Alicia Silverstone does, who's also very smart in that movie.
Yes.
But she's like the dumb Valley girl. She doesn't talk like that. She's just got the little like positive lisp sort of in her voice.
Yes.
But I like that it flips some of the cliches. In particular for me, the scene where she walks up and slaps David out on the quad or whatever they are, like the guy, and just says like, "How dare you?" That was
a great scene.
Yeah, the best night of my life, and all this other stuff. Like it's just the opposite of what you would think, because a person in her sort of cliche never would have defended or like come to his defense.
Girls like me don't go out with losers like you. Let's get out of here. Excuse me. Why didn't you call me?
What?
We spent a beautiful night together, and then I never hear from you again?
I'm sorry?
Sorry for what? For breaking my heart, or for giving me the greatest pleasure I've ever known, and then just taking it away?
Both?
Because intelligence is always perceived as like book smart. And you can have somewhat of an overlap, but there's book smart and kind of street smart. And I think that was a great thing of her recognizing how people interact and how they work and how these women would react to that type of situation where she comes up and like totally role plays of like, I'm a jilted lover and how dare you, and then walks away. And of course these women are like, hey, can we go out?
Right. These really smart Harvard women are suddenly whores. Just because they it's like, way to flip that right up on their heads.
You treated this woman like crap.
Yeah. Oh,
can we go out?
Hello.
And I was like,
but I do
I'm not
enjoy
sure
that scene.
Yes,
it is a fun scene
because it's the scene. The core of it is her connecting with the kind of outcasts or outsiders as she is in Harvard, and sees that she can help someone like her have a connection or at least do something outside of what they might be perceived to be doing. So yeah, I did like that scene where she was able to kind of use human nature to his benefit potentially. So yes, it was good. So I totally forgot about it, not surprisingly, but the weird like halfway through of sorts bend and snap scene.
In my experience, it has a 98% success rate of getting a man's attention, and when used appropriately, it has an 83% rate of return on a dinner invitation.
Wow.
It's called the bend and snap. So you bend and snap.
is really, really stupid. Like, you watch it and go, what the hell is this? Like, you bend and you snap.
So you bend and snap.
And it's like, okay, then these other women
and you
in
look
this...
like a T-Rex afterwards?
Yeah, exactly.
Right.
Like, what is this, like, weird, I have no arms type of thing? And then the women are, like, getting up and dancing to it. And does this, like, hair place have any kind of music going on? Or is it just, like, them doing this weird thing? Except when the payoff comes later.
Right.
For the, like, I like movies like this where they have seemingly, I don't know if it's intentional or whatever, but a seemingly dumb scene that kind of simmers for a bit, and then later the callback is the funny thing.
Right.
So the payoff was worth it when Jennifer Coolidge's character tries it and smacks the UPS guy in the face.
Yeah.
And I was like, all right, I can work with that. Like, it's a retroactive appreciation of something that seems so dumb.
I have that on my
happening.
list as well. Not necessarily that it's dumb, but number one, that was actually supposed to be a musical number when they first had made this.
Like, they
were
break
gonna
out in song?
Break out in a song. It was like the original idea was to have them actually break out in song. But that I said, like, the bend and snap would only work with a gorgeous rich person.
It does.
That's it.
Yes.
Nobody else.
Yes.
Nope, that's it. Like she said, it works like whatever
Ooh.
percent of the time. You're like, no, that's because you're
83%.
blonde, gorgeous, and rich.
Yeah.
It works. You could fall down and crap on the floor, and they'd be like, what's your name?
What?
Yeah.
How can I help?
Do you come here often?
Yeah. Exactly.
So I had that too. That scene is ridiculous, but it does pay off.
It does. It does. It's worth it. So, speaking of that scene, like I mentioned, Jennifer Coolidge, the actress that plays, what's her name again? Oh, sorry, you're drinking your beer, so wait.
Paulette.
Good notes.
Not in my notes.
Oh,
it's called the memory.
You
baby.
just know.
That's right.
The memory hole. Wow. I gotta say, I
Still
love.
can't monetize it, but here we are.
Hey, well,
Yep,
someday.
there we go.
I love that she is wonderfully consistent as a character actress. Like, she knows exactly what she can bring to a movie. Like this, American Pie, pretty much every Christopher Guest movie.
A Mighty Wind, yeah, especially.
She just is so perfect as this. Like, her language choices or like her affect is just absurd. And yeah, I loved her. She was just a nice foil for Elle to come in and bond with this hairstylist. And yeah, whenever she comes in, I don't expect much because I know exactly what I'm getting out of her, and she freaking delivers every time. Yes.
Yeah, and I'm not going to play off that in the sense of I can't, but I will say she is such a not great actress.
No.
But she's got such a unique look and a unique voice.
Yes.
Which, if you ever get to a chance to watch Gravity Falls, the show, she's a voice on that as well.
I can see her being a voice actress.
Yeah, it's perfect. Like, she's got that great voice for that. She's really good. Somewhat in that vein, though, it is refreshing to see Linda Cardellini not play a supportive wife. Because that's pretty much since this role, that's all she's played, I feel like. And I love Linda Cardellini. She's great. But
like Freaks and Geeks.
Yeah, and then this.
And then this.
And then it's like,
supportive.
All it is, supportive wives. I mean,
Yep.
you've got. I mean, lately it's been Green Book and the Avenger and the Marvel movies, but she's always the sort of supportive wife, and she does a good job in that. But it's like it's nice to see her be one of the dumbest names ever in film history.
Yes,
Chutney.
I know. She came like, what? Chutney?
I mean, it is.
her
I
name?
suppose it is a white rich name though. So I mean, in that sense, it probably is about accurate.
That's true. It was either that or Saffron, where they were exploring the Far East, and they came back and said, "Ooh,
yeah, we could adopt a child or have a child, and let's just have one, but name her something." Yeah, exactly. It is though. It's nice to see some like other people in this role. I think this movie is remembered for Reese Witherspoon, and rightfully so. And we'll come back to that. I just think that it is nice to see that it wasn't a one-trick pony of a movie.
Yes.
We talked about with A Knight's Tale. I think everyone's really good in that movie, but really it's a Heath Ledger, like a reason the studio they made it for Heath Ledger, and I feel like they could have also done this for Reese, but it's other people are really good in it as well.
Yeah, the supporting characters around her and the actors and actresses that are in this do a lot with very little.
Very little, yep.
Which I was impressed with. So I liked it. So my
Your fifth and final point.
I was unprepared for this movie.
Uh-oh.
to be basically a retelling of Joseph Campbell's hero myth story.
Oh, for God's sakes!
I know you'd love this.
I was hoping
Yes.
you would say because
No,
at
no,
one
no,
point
no.
at one point I wrote down this is a lot like Monsters University.
Oh, no.
When they went, that I was like, I was hoping
No,
you would
no, no,
so
no,
I
no.
get Joseph Campbell.
Yes, like
buckle in, JT.
So think about like it's a new like the
Buckle in.
like the plucked out of nowhere new environment and forces aligned against them. She goes to Harvard and clearly everybody is like out for this girl and she overcomes obstacles and antagonists to win the day. I mean, that is the core essence of this hero myth that Luke Skywalker went on and many others before Elle Woods. Not to say they're in the same vein by any means, but watching this, I was like, this is not, again, I expected a romantic comedy.
I don't want to make eye contact with you, but that's fine.
What? No.
So
Look
many
at me.
people have.
Look at me.
Look at me. Don't look at me.
Yeah.
Look at me.
Don't
Look at me. Yeah. So many people have told me, like, you guys really find hidden depths in some really weird movies. I'm like,
Yeah.
Yeah. Here we are.
I was watching and be like, oh my God, this is exactly,
Joseph
in many
Campbell.
ways, a loose interpretation of the hero story that is told countless times.
So it's interesting. So you're saying,
Yeah.
this is a loose interpretation, and this is one of my trivia later, so I'm just going to leave it alone. It might be yours, but they have these writers have a loose interpretation of another movie.
Oh.
Oh,
It's not part of my
teaser.
trivia.
We're coming back to it then.
Oh, man.
So here we are.
Wow.
So, all right. I'm
Yeah.
going to leave that alone because I
Yeah.
have no way to play off of that.
I didn't
'cause
think this would be happening for Legally Blonde. I was expecting
that is-
stupid.
What's one of the other segments we were talking about? The unexpected one?
You go ahead. I'll talk about it.
Yeah, you're fine. But where it was just like, there was one that was like, I did not see this coming.
No. You don't
Yeah,
have that.
again, why did you give me the sheet then?
Well, this really snuck up me.
Yeah, there you go. Sneakers, right? It snuck up on me.
It snuck up on me. Here's why. Okay, I'll give you that.
There you go.
A
So you
segue.
have a sneakers.
I have a sneakers in this.
Yeah, there we are.
Yeah. I was not
We are-
prepared.
We are coming up with new segment ideas,
Yeah.
and one of them is
Keeping it
sneakers.
fresh.
Like, I was not prepared. This snuck up on me.
Yeah.
There you go.
Joseph Campbell, hero arc.
Sneaker.
Too many secrets.
I don't know if I'll find a Robert Redford clip from Sneakers on that. If nothing else, it'll give me an excuse to rewatch that amazing film.
Oh God, so good.
So my last point of the high fidelity
Top 5.
really is just that didn't sneak up on me, but I had kind of forgotten how this is two different films. This is a film about I think it's interesting. It's why and how she got there.
Yep.
And then what she does with it.
Yes.
Like, unsuspecting, she gets there, and that's the first hour. Like, she did not plan. That's not why she went there, right? And all of a sudden, she's in this, and is like, oh, I don't want this thing that I wanted. Now I want this other thing. And now it's, how can I keep this? And what do I do with this?
Yeah.
And it's an interesting, like, back and forth. So, again, probably not on purpose, but there are two very different movies here. There's a different feel. There's a different everything. It's an unbelievable story. Because if you're in a law firm and you get a murder case, you sure as hell do not give interns this. You put the interns on your other cases.
Yeah.
And then put your experienced lawyers on the murder case.
Yeah.
Let them handle the tax fraud case.
Yes.
Somebody's life is on the line. I get it from a movie standpoint, but I'm like, it's not unbelievable.
Yes.
But there are two separate stories here, and I think that, to me, is why this does have lasting... There's a lasting... I was reading some articles of the 20 Years On.
Yeah.
Feminist argument of saying, like, a lot of people latched onto this for that reason.
Yes.
But I do get a sense, without this second half, it would have just been like this girl overcoming this obstacle, like Clueless. Because that's where it differs. Clueless is like, it's high school. It's just, it's different. And so this is like real life. This is like somebody's life is on the line. This girl has real life effect. There's real life consequences to what she decides to do.
Yeah.
And so I like that. And I think that's why, while Clueless is still also really good, I don't think anyone necessarily claims that Clueless is a like feminist movie that you look at. Whereas this, they do because of that. It's an interesting like first half, second half of that movie.
Yes, because Clueless
the first half is just light and fluffy and
yes. Clueless is all about like she's a matchmaker because that's enjoyable for her, and then she falls in love with her
Paul freaking Rudd, man.
Stepbrother.
Yes.
So by marriage, and so like that's the whole story. It's really fun.
Important
It's fantastic,
caveat.
and yeah, exactly. Like it's by marriage, but this had that same vein of the romantic element. She comes in and she's deciding I'm gonna do all I can to win this guy back, which. Wow, that's your love interest,
That dude?
Warner is a dud, but
Yeah.
good luck becoming a senator by 30. But that being said,
Well, you know what? I mean, maybe that does stand up because most of the D-bags that are currently being elected are probably a lot like Warner.
but at least go through the House of Representatives.
Maybe
first.
House. Yeah.
Exactly. Like
probably
say
Missouri.
yourself,
He's probably a Missouri
yeah.
congressman.
How about we set realistic goals?
That's right.
For ourselves, and
Yep.
then senator. It's
Yeah,
tougher.
carpetbag it to Missouri. Chief.
But yes, I agree. At the party where she comes in with the Playboy bunny costume on and realizes she's been played by the woman that lied to her and says to Warner, I will never be good enough for you.
Yeah.
That's when the movie switches.
Yeah, absolutely.
Yes, which is fantastic because I agree. The first, I guess, half an hour, 40 minutes prior to that, I was thinking, how is this movie? I was not taking notes. Even JT's like, you can take notes? Not really, but I'll get there. But to me, it was like this movie cannot have held up for 20 years if this is what it's going to be.
Yeah,
And I forgot most of everything. And that's when it switches. And it definitely is this journey for her of this thing she wanted is completely stupid and useless. And this guy is not worth my time.
No
but
kidding.
this is where I've started to really find my self-worth in the world. And so I loved that where it switches, and the second half is much more to that. And then when the professor hits on her and all these things, like these somewhat seemingly dark things that happen, she handles them and keeps on moving on and keeps persevering. So yeah, it definitely was not as lighthearted and like fluffy as I've always remembered it to be, of just like, oh, this dumb blonde gets into Harvard and she's pink and everything. Like, no, it's much more interesting than that. So yeah, I can see why it has held up for exactly that. So,
yeah, I mean, when we made this list for the year, it was a little bit like, I mean, we have to cover Legally Blonde because there's a second movie, a musical,
yes,
and a third movie coming out. You kind of like have to cover it, but you never would have thought that we'd be covering it on a full episode kind of a thing. If but that's a testament, I think, to. It's a very enjoyable movie, and it doesn't get pigeonholed into a romantic comedy.
Yep.
It doesn't get it. The critics compared it to Clueless. The movie makers didn't compare it to Clueless. Like it, at no point does it ever feel like Clueless. That's why I don't really understand the comparison.
Well, like
short of a blonde girl from Southern California, and there aren't a lot of movies about them. That was about the only comparison.
Like I will take this any day over a year later when she made Sweet Home Alabama. Which is awful. Just a pile of garbage.
Oh my God. I'm muting your mic. I'm muting your mic.
No. Sweet Home Alabama is just the freaking worst. So I will take this movie any day.
How dare you go against McDreamy?
No, isn't it? Okay, well, maybe next year we'll come back to that. That'll be one of our happy hour podcasts where we watch Sweet Home. And actually,
fine.
My wife loves that movie, so we'll watch that separate. And I'll get her feedback.
I'll watch it with Ellen. You watch it on your own.
Exactly, yeah.
Like
you watch it with her.
I watch it alone. You watch it alone. It's bullcrap.
All right, that's my half a deli.
Well, there we go. All right, so after our reactions to the film, we jump on over to our reactions to our beers in the segment that we call Drinking Buddies, the sequel.
Let's get weird.
Tim is going to bring us back through our buddies, and we tell you our ratings and thoughts so that you can go to the store and can remember them, I guess, and make educated choices.
Yeah.
Whatever.
It's a public service.
It's exactly. We are helping you, the listeners. So, Tim,
Cheers.
what do we got?
We started with Bad Habit out of St. Joseph, their Hang Up Blonde Ale. Just super drinkable. It's a 4 for me for a blonde ale. It's exactly what I can see why it's a flagship. It stands out. It's fantastic. It's exactly like a summer drinking beer. This is good. A fast, approachable light beer is what they call it on the side of the crowler. Very good.
What'd you give it, JT? I saw you tapping in.
I gave it a 3.75.
3.75. All right,
that's good.
Very drinkable beer.
It's your first Bad Habit beer, right?
Yeah.
Nice.
Yeah.
You got to get up there, man. It's awesome.
Okay.
Or I'll bring it to you because I go up there quite a bit.
Right.
They just released Rather Ripped again. So, I know. If only somebody worked
I went
in
there
St.
Wednesday.
Cloud.
I went there Wednesday.
Yeah, are you going back up there next week?
Yeah, I will.
Okay, cool. God. All right, we're going to have this conversation.
We'll figure this off
So
night.
I also had a 4 or 5. 4 out of 5
Yes.
on that one. So
Quite tasty.
Yeah,
Yes.
I think it's anything Bad Habit is good. So what's next?
Then we had Fulton out of Minneapolis. Their strawberry Lonely Blonde. And I had such high anticipation.
It wasn't pink.
That it would have some kind of pink hue to it, which is so dumb. I know, I realize now. Like,
No, you don't have to sell any of us on your stupidity. I
know. God, I hate you so much. But it, aside from my attempt around it still was blonde in the label, so
Yeah,
it's
it's
good
fine.
thematic.
It's fine.
Synchronicity, thank you. I had a 4 for it. It was a good amount of strawberry, but not overwhelming. Where I felt like a lot of fruit beers are like cloying and just like so much. I liked it. It's a good summer beer. They have a grapefruit version, which I think is
I like
better.
the grapefruit better. Yeah,
I agree. But strawberry for me, it was good. I like it because I'm not Lonely Blonde's okay. This was very good.
What do you got, Tuck?
3.25. I went
3.25
in the other way.
Yep.
I thought if I want a fruit in my beer, I want it to be sour. I want it. This was the fruit didn't work for me.
Didn't work for you.
Yeah, I had a 3.5 as well. So you and I are about on par. Like for me, and I'm. It's not that it's not bad, and we know. I think everyone in this room is in love with Fulton as a brewery. So, yeah, it wasn't bad. I think Lonely Blonde, I'm not necessarily. I like Lonely Blonde. I just don't think necessarily like strawberry doesn't seem to be the flavor to put in there. Now full disclosure, I had a better strawberry IPA earlier today. So like
information would have been helpful 5 hours ago.
I had right. So I was just saying like I don't think it was either like too little strawberry or you know what I mean like it just didn't quite work for me. But a 3.5 for me again, totally drinkable. Drank the whole thing and then dump it.
That's true.
So I've dumped plenty of beers.
I don't know. I'm defending it. Yeah.
Yeah.
Why don't you have a 4?
Because it wasn't pink.
Validate my assessment. Then we had Barrel Theory out of St. Paul. Their Hard Pass double dry hopped oat cream double IPA with Citra, Pacifica, and Mosaic hops. I thoroughly enjoyed this. I liked it a lot. I'm always hesitant with like these oat cream, like weird kind of stuff that goes in it. It was a 4 for me as far as like a double dry hopped double IPA. The hops were good. I liked it. A 4.
GT, what do you got?
I gave it a 3.5. I thought it had a good amount of funk. It was a very good beer.
Funk. Nice. I think that might be the first time funk has been mentioned on this podcast.
I'm impressed.
I had a 3.75, so I'm in between you guys. And I actually think what kicked it down was that I found myself comparing Barrel Theory's other beers to this. Like, they have way better beers in this that I rank at a 4.25 or 4.5, so I can't go that high. Towards the end, I was like, yeah, I'm about done with this. So, I mean, totally drinkable. It's good, but I had a 3.75.
I like it.
It's right in between you guys. Exactly where I want to be.
I love these guest visits. This is fantastic.
Yeah, this is great.
We gotta have this more.
Yeah, we gotta have more with some people.
And then that's true.
Yeah, only the right
selective.
ones.
I'm happy to do the JT first. Then we had Wooden Hill, their barrel aged espresso crow. I guess it's a stout. Yeah. I gotta say it was a 3.5 for me. If you say espresso in your explanation or detail name, I better damn taste some coffee, and good luck finding it.
Yeah,
and it's a fine barrel aged dark beer, rye barrels for what it's worth. It's very smooth. I liked it. Had some good smell to it, good flavor, but I was very underwhelmed as far as the espresso and coffee flavor.
So you were 3.5?
3.5 for me.
JT, you like rye whiskey?
I do.
What'd you think?
I gave it a 3.75.
Okay, 3.75.
I liked it. I thought, in comparing it to other barrel-aged imperial stouts, it did not have that medicinal, too alcoholic, it was very drinkable. It was I thought it was a very good beer.
It's a very smooth beer. I'll give it that.
Yeah, I have a 3.5 as well. Yeah. And this would be, if we're going to sort of introduce another new segment, this would be my strange brew.
Take off, you loser. You take off, you numb.
Of the week, of like,
yeah,
where is this? Strange brew. Where's the espresso?
Yeah.
What are we talking about here?
I know. That's why I got it for this.
Right. I was like, oh, espresso's in this. I'm like, no, it's not. Espresso might be in it, but are we like talking Caribou Coffee espresso? Like weak as hell?
I don't.
Because that's terrible.
Again,
so
good luck.
The expectation was higher, and so when you come into it thinking it's espresso, the barrel aging was totally fine. Like that was great. But the moment you throw espresso in there and you claim that it's in there and it's not in there, you just completely diminish your rating for me. Like if it had just been a barrel aged with hints of coffee, I'd have been like, oh, maybe a 4.25. But you're gonna say it's espresso? No, can't do it.
I agree.
All right, so that's our beer reaction segment of Drinking Buddies, the non-existent sequel. Tim, do you have any? We're not going to do any hot shots. We're going to kind of like move on from that segment. I don't have any hot shots about Legally Blonde. Do you have any segments at all that you wanted to kind of cover, or
not so much segments, but I don't know that I have much of a recollection. I mean, I guess I should say Reese Witherspoon. Clearly the,
yeah, we're gonna call this. I'm gonna interrupt. We're gonna call this the A League of Their Own segment.
There's no crying. There's no crying in baseball.
Ooh.
Because I have the same point, and so that is our new, somewhat of a segment of saying that this person is in a league of their own.
Yeah.
So go ahead, and I will pop off of that.
So prior to this, I remember seeing her in Pleasantville.
Love it.
Which is so damn good.
Yeah, ahead of its time. Go see it.
Exactly. Fantastic. Randy Newman score, so good.
Yep. But also Man in the Moon. She was in that. She's been in a couple other movies.
She was like a child actress. Yeah, Fear. I remember that.
Yep.
Yes, with
Marky Mark.
Sans.
He's going to come and hunt you down.
Funky Bunch, yeah.
Marky Mark, the Funky Bunch, but he's going to come hunt you down by calling you Marky
right.
Mark. So Mark Wahlberg,
yes,
we love you. Your burgers are shit, but you're fine. Yeah, you're fine.
So this, I do think, was kind of that, and she had done Election to this, I think, prior, which is still an incredible movie.
Yep.
But this was like the first
I could tell
foray
stories about
of
that,
her truly feeling like, man, she can carry a movie.
Yep.
And watching it again, we talked about last podcast with Heath Ledger.
Yep.
Fully committing to something absurd. And really, again, I didn't like it, but I appreciate what he did. This is a similar type of thing where she fully commits, and she is fantastic, and she's got lighthearted elements, but also, you can see that she is really committed to this. So yeah, Reese Witherspoon, and clearly she's,
we know who she is now.
Oscar-winning actress,
Right.
and like nominated for
20
everything.
years ago.
No,
Right.
yeah, she comes out of nowhere.
Like, she's
somewhat
believably
nowhere.
crying over Warner at the beginning. And you're like, this D-bag?
Yeah,
really?
exactly. Yeah, he's the one.
You're crying over this guy?
Yes.
But she does such a good job of realism. I have, too, of saying, so she was my A League of Their Own.
I like this.
I was just saying there, I think we've had this a lot in the last year of talking about some people, whether it's Heath Ledger or Kate Hudson or some of these people who have kind of come on the scene that we still know now.
Yeah.
That this is the movie that you look back to. Me personally, I look at Pleasantville, but like everyone looks at this movie of, right, so she's believable to the core. Like she is at the beginning. That's why people think she's dumb, is because they're judging her in her situation. But she is believable in that situation.
Yeah.
Of wanting Warner to, gosh dang it.
Did it make it sound?
Yeah, I've made it sound. I'm going to keep it in just so I can completely
hit the
crap
cord
on
in the mic.
That's what happens when
Sorry.
we get new mics. So, yeah, she's believable when it comes to her desire for Warner in that's what she wants.
Yes.
And in the world that she grew up in, that's what she was supposed to go for.
Yep.
And when that's taken away from her, we then believe her next step, which is to go after this person.
Yes.
So the actual story is absurd in its believability.
Yeah.
But without Reese Witherspoon, it's absurd. But with her, you start to like go along with her, and you're like, "Yep, I can see how this connects the dots."
The pivot makes sense,
right?
Like she's one of the few actresses I think that can carry that pivot, where she can carry the seemingly aloof, dumb, is it maybe like not dumb, but just commits to that whole blonde like stereotype that it's portraying.
It's dumb in a sense of not book smart. Like she's just not aware of the world that's around her.
Yes.
Right.
Yeah. Grew up wealthy and all these things that are supposed to happen. And the pivot happens and you can see that actually like she pulls it off, which is really well. So yeah,
her empathy is there.
Yep.
I think that's the number one thing I thought of was that along the way, the entire time she had empathy.
Yep.
Towards everyone.
Yep.
Even Selma Blair, who is a super big B to her the entire time, and she's just accepts her. And I mean, like, she's very accepting along the way.
Yep.
We talked about the scene with David, and like empathy separates her, and that is both writing and acting in that sense. So I absolutely, she's in a league of her own on this one.
I agree.
Of course you do. So
what do you mean by that?
As usual, we move on to our final segment for the show, which is Quiz Show.
The exciting quiz program, 21.
Where we search for fun, quirky, or even difficult trivia nuggets throughout our research for our film and attempt to stump each other. I've got a few that I could probably go with. I already teased one that you don't have, so what do you got?
I have a few as well.
Oh, go first. You can go first.
Just by the nature of my question, I think you're gonna know the answer. But
I love when you do that because now if I don't get it, I look
which
like the idiot.
actress has more film and television credits, Reese Witherspoon or Selma Blair?
Oh man, I guess Selma Blair.
Right? Yes, exactly. Yeah.
That's right.
38 for Reese, 41 for Selma for movies, and 14 of TV for Reese, and 24 for Selma. Selma Blair is just slaying films and television roles.
Can I ask, did you at least have some, like, did a website tell you that, or did you actually count them up?
I counted them up.
Oh, man.
I was just curious. I'm like, seeing,
Fine.
like, because I was looking through Selma Blair's history. I'm like, she's been a lot.
Yeah.
Oh, my gosh.
Well,
wow.
Maybe we'll come back to that.
Yeah.
I guess, yeah. I mean, this is not the first film that Karen McKella and Kristen Smith had made into a feature film. What 1999 teen high school classic that we have discussed before did they write?
Did they adapt and make 10 Things I Hate About You?
Correct.
That's right.
Oh, from Taming the Shrew?
Yep, that's
Nice.
your teaser from earlier on
That's
the loose
fantastic.
adaptation. There you go.
Oh,
so they wrote together 10 Things I Hate About You, which makes me love both those movies a little bit more.
All right.
Knowing that they're tied together. Now, when you don't look at the rest of their writing history together, because it goes downhill from
They
there.
hit on twice.
Yes.
Just two.
Their first two were great.
Yes.
And then you end up with like An Ugly Truth, which is a fine movie, but you're saying, okay, no.
Wow.
So there you go.
That's not. I like that trivia. That's really good.
You better like it.
So, you like musicals, I hear.
I've heard such things, yes.
So, the movie was based upon a 1990. Sorry, let me try again. The movie was based upon a 1991 memoir of the same name, which was also adapted into a 2007 musical. It was nominated for 7 Tony Awards that year. And do you know how many Tonys the musical Legally Blonde won?
0.
That's right.
Nice.
Yeah, I was
Yep.
gonna say.
Nothing.
The lead actress was great in that, and I've seen the musical.
I know you
It's
have.
really good, but not with them, like with the tour or whatever. But it's really enjoyable.
Well
But
done.
it's 0.
Yeah, good.
That's right. So this movie basically is a loser across the board.
Yep. No awards, no nothing. The musical, nope.
Right. Well, how do I want to? I gotta go. How many more you got?
I have one about Luke Wilson, but it's a 2-part question.
Ooh, 2-part question. Love it. All right. So technically, we know Reese Witherspoon and Selma Blair appeared together in what movie?
Well,
Before
one.
this.
Cruel Intentions.
Intentions, right. In 1999. But Selma Blair and Luke Wilson also share a movie credit before this movie.
What?
What 1997 slasher film did Blair and Wilson appear in together?
97 slasher film.
Yep.
It's not the I hate or I know what you did last summer because that's not. No,
It's around the same time.
Um,
I'm going to give you a hint.
Yeah.
And I'm still going to say no when it comes up. We have watched a movie in this series tonight.
we just watched. Okay. Scream. No, but not the original.
3.
No. The 2? Scream 2?
Yeah.
Shut up. What?
Yeah. So
I love
Luke
you watching
Wilson,
Scream 3 and you're like, oh, this is trivia. Perfect.
Yep, I know. I
tonight.
put it on for a reason. Love it. Yeah, Scream 2, they both have credits because Selma Blair is a voice on the phone of a friend of like there's a voice on the phone of somebody in the movie, and that's Selma Blair.
I can see like of Sarah
Luke
Michelle
Wilson
Gellar's
is
character
in
at the beginning.
yeah, but Luke Wilson is in that movie on Stab 2, like one of the actors.
Yes.
Or whatever. So they share a credit.
They
before
share
this.
credit. I'll give you that. That's
You
good.
don't have to give it to me. I'm going to take it because thank you, IMDb.
That's really good.
All right, what's your next? What's your two-parter?
All right, so Luke Wilson. Speaking of him from fame of Scream 2.
Sure. He's fine in this. He does good work.
That's a good throwback. That's a good throwback.
He does good work.
He does good work.
That's right.
He's obviously a well-known movie star, and he's been playing leading roles and bit parts throughout his career. Do you know his first movie that he starred in?
Was it Bottle Rocket?
It was Bottle Rocket.
Yeah,
with his brother Owen Wilson.
Wow.
Directed by Wes Anderson, another director that we will watch.
Yep.
This year,
2 months from now.
But television. So we're gonna pivot a bit. He's also had a few television guest roles.
Yep.
Most notably as Kelso's older brother on that 70s show.
Mm-hmm.
Can you name the first television guest role he had?
X-Files?
Shut up. Well, I was going to give you a hint in case you need it, but apparently not.
Don't need it, baby.
X-Files.
Partly because it was a part of my next question.
I was like, he might
so
have
there
been,
we
but
go.
yes. Yeah, he was in an episode where Mulder killed the vampire.
Yep.
And he played the cop or
Yep.
whatever. Oh, well done. I'm sorry I took your trivia.
No, you didn't really take my trivia because I'm still going to ask the next question.
Okay. That's all I got.
Yeah, X-Files.
Well done.
Thank you.
X-Files.
Anything X-Files pops up, I'm like, Tim's going to ask about
Oh, I
that.
can't wait. I love X-Files.
Well, no, my question essentially was between these three, Selma Blair, Luke Wilson, and Reese Witherspoon, who has co-starred on Friends?
Luke Wilson's been on Friends.
No, the other two. And the sub-question of that was going to be X-Files. So, there we go. We'll just keep that in since you got it wrong.
I love it. I guess that helps. I've literally maybe seen 2 episodes of Friends because I hate that show. So.
Right. No, it's terrible.
Yes.
Sorry, loving listeners
It's not
who,
good.
yeah, who might be on our next episode. Friends sucks.
Yeah, Friends sucks.
My last question before we head on is simply because
he says.
Yeah, I had 4. Well, I had 3, and then I came up with 4 as we were doing this. Mark Platt produced this.
Yes.
Do you know who that is?
It's Ben Platt's dad.
There we go.
Hey.
Yep.
All
Ben
right.
Platt's
See, I
dad.
can pull this stuff
There you go.
out. Yeah.
You hate musicals /love /hate
I
them.
don't hate musicals.
Right.
Thank you.
So Mark
I
Platt
have a appreciation
produced-
for a finite amount.
Right. He's been nominated for 3 Oscars as a producer.
I did know that his dad was a producer. Nice.
Right. Yeah. La La Land, Bridge of Spies, and Trial of Chicago 7 are all Mark Platt films.
Oh.
And in this film, she says, I don't know who says orange is the new pink, but they're crazy.
Yeah.
That's a reference to a Mark Platt produced film of Josie and the Pussycats. And in that movie, they say orange is the new pink.
Jeez.
I know. Deep dive, man.
Man.
So you got to give them some credit of just saying like,
wink, wink.
Right, exactly. And by the way, one of the at the law firm is something Callahan. One of them is also Platt.
Oh.
So there you go, Mark Platt, producer.
Man.
Yeah, not necessarily trivia, just basically, you know what? Finally, I did some research, and here's my proof.
No, you did good.
But I mean, Mark Platt,
well done.
Musicals. So
that's good.
All right, so soon after this, we will be recording our happy hour
Hey, you guys. Happy hour is from 4 to 6.
pod on the thriller Spy Game. So we hope you will check that out soon. Our next film of a full episode is Amélie, our first foray into French. Oui, oui.
Mon chéri.
We will also probably have some guests along with us since JT added so much to the...
I like this.
Yeah. It's more
a bit
just
of a
weird to have
menage.
somebody stare at us.
Tonight.
No.
A bit of a menage a trois.
Dang it. There you go. Low-hanging fruit.
I know.
So we now find ourselves at the end of the episode. We want to say thanks for taking some time to listen and for clicking that like or subscribe button on your devices.
Thank you.
Follow us on Twitter at years_beers and on Facebook, or head to 20years4beers.com. Thank you as well to JT for joining us.
Yep.
Thank you. It was
Thank you.
awesome. Great idea.
Good to see you.
We are pretty frustrated that you took over so much of this episode.
Yeah.
Like, it's really seriously. Shut
Tone
up, JT.
it down.
Wow. Wow. It's not about you. It's about us.
Yeah, put your shirt back on.
Wow. See? You know what's great about that joke? Is he has no idea that I made that joke earlier when he was in the bathroom for the 10th time.
Are you serious?
Yes. I told him he could take off the shirt because the camera was off. This is great.
Oh my god.
There we are.
This is the best one.
Love it. So, but it does mean a lot that you listen and you wanted to come and be here. So thank you. Okay. This has been 20 Years, 4 Beers. My name is Steve.
I'm Tim.
And thanks for listening.
Thanks.
Your teaser from earlier on the loose
fantastic.
adaptation. What's up, wiener holes?
Cut! Cut! Cut!